Hello again and welcome. Today we are going to start gluing our text block, our signatures. This is all that we're going to need in the next little while, but it'll be done in stages. We'll do some gluing, some drying, some gluing, some drying. So right now, all we are going to need is this. So we want to start with taking this little vise, and this is where you want to be careful with getting your pages really well lined up. Now these papers I got cut at a local place on the island. They are not really line-upable. You'll notice they're slightly different lengths. So this one I'm going to have to trim, which is okay, because I wanted to have a go at that anyway. There. Easier to do this sideways, but harder to see on the camera, so I'll do it straight up and down like this. Get these ones tightened in a little bit. There we go. And then you want to do it quite tight, because what we're going to be doing is building up a layer of glue all along the spine eventually. And we don't want it seeping down into the text block. Now this is fairly level. These ones don't really matter, but on a bigger book they would, but on this little book, this tight edge here is gonna hold it together as much as we want, but we'll just get that snug. If we tighten the lower ones too much more than the top ones, then it actually works with the edge of the book and opens these ones like an alligator mouth, and you lose some of your grip. We want this really tight grip up here. Now initially when we're gluing, we aren't going to glue over these. This is more of an issue if you're doing a bigger book with a heavier cover. With this one, we'd get away with it. We know these are going to be long enough, more than long enough, and we know we aren't going to be doing a lot of adjustment there. So we could just go straight over it. I probably will. In this case, forgot to have this out there. A little paintbrush. Now, if you get a little PVA glue on your fingers, it's not a big deal. The thing is, if you're doing this a lot, you don't want to get PVA on your fingers frequently. I think probably it absorbs in and isn't the healthiest for us. Fine once it's dry. So I'm going to just drag this along, and the idea is to fill in all of the little gaps. I put probably more than I needed to. Probably just need this one layer. Will be enough. Try and get all the little nooks and crannies. Now we have a nice layer of glue. It's held tight like this. That's all we need to do for, well, a couple of hours anyway until that dries. You may even want to set it aside and leave it for the next day and carry on from there. I'm going to leave mine at least for a couple of hours, possibly till tomorrow, and I'll see you again. But the video is just going to keep going. So see you in a bit. Okay, we are back. It is the next day. This is very dry now, and if you can see it, there are trenches here again where the glue is kind of soaked in, contracted, dried up. But the book itself, the text block itself, let's pull it out of there and have a quick look. So it is very much now like a little book without a cover. These are glued in place. We don't need to adjust them for this one. But what we do need is a flat surface here. So if we look from the side, we can see where the sewing is. Even if we kind of squish that down a little bit, you can see there are gaps in between the ruler and there. We need to fill those gaps so that we can glue a hollow piece on here that will allow it to open up and still stick to the spine. That will all make sense shortly. So let's put it back in the vise. We'll put it down quite close. Now this is mainly to hold it in place. We don't need to crush it together anymore to prevent glue from seeping through because it's already dry and it's formed a barrier there. What we need to do is to take some card and fill in those gaps. So we'll need just one for each gap, and we don't fill the ends. I'll show you why shortly. But we want to fill this little middle gap here. So that's what I can't really see and film it well at the same time. So that's for that one. This one, that'll do. You don't need to butt right up against the threads. It's not necessarily necessary. Just mark the width. You don't want to go wider or it gets very bulky very quickly. So this is what we want. You can measure both ends or you can kind of eyeball it. This will be all covered up, but it's nice to have it as perfect as possible, even the parts that you can't see, because little errors early on tend to compound and turn into big errors later. Now sometimes you'll see me and other people do a lot of little layers of paper rather than one layer of the gray board. And the reason behind that is it gives more adhesion. This can pull apart and kind of split, which you'll see when we're carving covers and things. And that is weaker. However, you will also find that we don't need much strength here. It's more giving height, because once the cover's on there, everything gets folded around and tightened in there and it'll hold together quite nicely. So this will make it so when we turn this sideways, we've got a nice flat surface for our hollow spine to stick to. Oh, this glue is really doing its job well there, that lid. Okay, so we do a little bit there, a little bit along here, and a little bit along there. Take my brush, and I don't want to get it right down into the cracks at first because we want enough bulged up there to grab onto the gray board. We'll let the gray board itself push it down into the cracks. So this top bit stuck down, the middle one stuck down there, and the third one. Okay. That looks really good. That's going to be sharp. Now, one thing that we do want to also add on are these, and they're meant to protect the edges of the paper from being bumped or worn or whatever. Normally that would be sewn through traditionally, and this would kind of be created by sewing through the signatures. This one is going to be mainly for show, especially on a book this size, but you can get them like this and we can just cut them and put them through. Now the question is, what color is this book going to be when we're done? I think I will probably go for one of the leathers. I'm thinking I might do it in a color like this. It's not my usual ones, but I think it'd be a cool choice. So if we do that, the green might be all right with that. Purple would be a nice contrast. So I'm thinking either this one, the color, I can't really tell the color of that, I think it's a blue one, or the green. I think I'm gonna go with the green. So all we want to do is get the right width, which is not very wide, is it? Let's see how we did. So that would be like that. I think that works. Now the only thing here is, are we gonna trim this? I think we're gonna try and trim it. And so I'm gonna save these. I won't glue them on just yet. We're gonna see if this is enough of a base for me to trim it using a special knife. We'll let it dry, we'll come back and do some trimming. To get a proper cutter, guillotine cutter, or one of the combination presses, it's probably worth it if you're going to be cutting the edges of your book rather than having that kind of more raw textured look. Now it is time to sort out the ends here. Oops, that might have been a bit much. What I want to do here is get our end bands sorted. And another little extra bit as well. And I think the best way to do that, I decided to put a bit of paper underneath just as a liner a little bit to increase the amount of surface area we're working with. That's the theory. There's a lot of glue here, so I'm going to borrow some. It's getting very sticky too. It shouldn't really do that. This is a new glue that I just picked up here. Recently moved to a little island in the South Atlantic Ocean for a year, and there's not a lot of variety of things to buy. And this is, I think, the only kind of glue that I can directly buy on the island. So hopefully it'll be good. Otherwise, I'll have to order some in, which takes a month on average. Okay, here are the end bands that we cut earlier. I'm going to stick them in just so they kind of hook around the top a little bit. Make sure they're in the middle. It's one of those little details that if you're not a bookbinder, you might not even notice whether they're there or not. Or maybe you just notice if they're not. But if you're a bookbinder, you very quickly start to notice all kinds of things. Now I'm putting glue on top of this, not because I'm going to stick anything down on it, although I might, just for extra grip. I think I will actually. I do another layer of that paper on there. And then I have something a little bit special that I'm going to add on. Okay, so with our little layer of glue on there, we'll stick this down. I'm going to press it. Ooh. See, I was going to press it quite hard to get as much adhesion there as I can. Steal some glue from there. The textured material of book cloth and these little end bands make it so you need quite a lot of glue to get a proper stick. So I'll stick those down as hard as I can, as firmly as I can. That looks all right. Those look good. And there's one more thing I wanted to do. And I'll do it on this end. So far the book has been symmetrical, upside down, right side up. There's no difference. But this is a bookmark that I'm going to attach now. And with the attachment of the bookmark, we now have a top of the book. So scoop up that extra glue, kind of paste it down a little bit. Give this guy a little extra. So they all stay in place. I'm debating whether or not to put an actual solid spine on this book or to wrap it around and leave it soft. The only real benefit of a solid spine on a book this size is A, to show you how to do it, but B, I could make it wide enough to be able to put a little title down the side to write the word notes or diary or whatever you have, whatever you want on there, name. So I might do that. Now, in order to do that, I've pre-cut a rectangle out of just regular paper, and it is long enough to just cover the stitching on the book. And what we want to do now is fold it in thirds. You need it to be as wide as the spine. So we take the length of it, fold it over, like so, and then do the same this way. Okay. And I'm going to take a little bit of glue and run it down the inside. We don't want the whole thing glued. We just want one face like this glued so that we can close it. And it creates basically a flat tube. So the ends will be able to kind of open up like that. That's what we're wanting. And otherwise, it can be flat. I'm going to take the glue here. That bookmark ribbon is frustratingly non-adhesive, but we'll get it going. Making sure that the gray board here is well glued, because it'll hold on a little bit to these tapes, but I think the main surface area is on the gray board. Just as a precaution, I'm going to get rid of this little bit that's sticking up. Hopefully I will, if it cooperates. There we go. Good, that's flush now. I take the little tube and I stick it on the spine. Now, not strictly necessary on a book this size, a spine this thin, but I want to show you how to do it so that later on when we glue the strip of gray board, little narrow strip of gray board on there, it'll be able to stick all the way along here. When the book opens up and the spine flexes, this will open up and allow that bookboard spine to stay straight while the inside kind of flexes up like this. And that'll allow it to move freely and still be attached all the way along the length. So if it doesn't make sense to you now, it might when you actually put it together, but it's not something you need to understand right off the get-go. It'll do its job whether you follow it or not. I didn't really get it at first the way it was explained, but I get it now. So that is it. We're done everything we need to do now until we make the actual cover and put it on there. So for now, folding done, punching done, stitching done, leveling and gluing done, extra little bookmark done, end bands on there. We are ready for the cover. See you next time.